Reagen, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. A pretty alarming figure, isn't it? 800 police officers accused of abusing their powers. Who's to blame for allowing this to happen for so long?
Thank you so much for having me. I am delighted that I'm here. If we consider the transgressions, also comparing the total number of SAPS members in our province, this is a matter of one transgression that is one too many. In terms of the SAPS annual report, it states that vehicles are the most utilized resource when it comes to visible policing as well as organized crime for detective work. Hence, it rests solely with the South African Police Service on the management, on the relevant police commissioners, and it is two prominent challenges when it comes to policing in our province. Like I've indicated, the one on poor visible policing, which is evident in most of our top crime stations here in the Western Cape, but also because we have a critically low detective base versus the high level of gangsterism and organized crime. Hence, this directly impacts the service delivery that we do have. Hence, it is squarely on SAPS.
Yeah. So how does these transgressions, in particular with regards to the abuse of state vehicles, given what you're saying about visible policing, what impact does it have in the fight against crime in these communities?
It means that SAPS basically is unable to effectively attend to crime. We have 1,200 SAPS vehicles that are currently not servicing communities. We are ranked in the bottom 3 in terms of police vehicles and police personnel ratio. So it's already a gap that needs to be attended to. But also if we consider that if someone makes a call to SAPS and there is no vehicle, or there is no assistance, it means that the trust that members of the community have in SAPS is further eroded. As the Standing Committee of Community Safety in the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, we will continue to keep SAPS accountable to ensure that more vehicles are on our road, as well as under-resourcing in terms of SAPS. So I fully can see that this is a huge issue. It was highlighted when I visited a young boy in Langa, Shahan, who was knocked over by a drunk cop driver whilst using a police van. He drove away, and I visited the boy, and he's still recovering. He's still seeing the effects of that incident. And that parliamentary reply, the questions, the reply boggles my mind, because why was it not attended to earlier? It's when these big issues come about and we drive the issues, it is always to see how can we not only do our side in terms of holding SAPS accountable, but ensuring that the services are rendered. So we will definitely continue, because it is a great concern. That national government is basically failing in its responsibility.
All right. Of course, it's easy to say the national government's failing when it comes to policing, but the Western Cape government also has a role when it comes to crime-fighting efforts. Is enough being done in that regard?
We are doing as much as we can. In terms of the Department of Community Safety, we have a two-pronged approach, which is the only one in the entire country where we, besides our violence prevention, we also have law enforcement component. So we are trying to get more boots onto the ground. We are talking about addressing it from the whole of society approach, where we deal from social development to Department of Cultural Affairs, education, docs, everyone playing its role to help. We fully understand that there is socioeconomic circumstances that lead young people into a life of crime, as well as the poverty and crime that is already in our communities. Hence, we are trying to see how can we, in terms of the Western Cape Safety Plan, play our role, come alongside SAPS, but it remains that policing is SAPS's mandate.
You know, the issue here is that we have very good policing in urban, rich areas in the Western Cape, in particular Cape Town, right? But you have gangsters basically running the streets in poorer areas, on the Cape Flats, for instance. And we've seen this happen for decades. We still don't have a possible or great solution to getting rid of gangsters. And we're sitting with communities saying that our children are dying.
When I consider growing up in Mitchell's Plain, Shahan, it was also when you see a gangster is walking about, he's doing his business, and he's not held accountable. We need our justice system to work effectively so that those gangsters that are seen as role models are taken off our streets and that they ultimately land up in prison, but also that government plays its role to create those conditions for young people to excel, for young people to go and study, find employment, etc. So it is in that regard, and I fully understand what you are saying. If I consider just where I come from and the areas that I work in, it's a long-standing where we have gangs that are entrenched in our communities. We have some communities that to a certain extent will even protect gangsters because they are giving out food parcels, they are helping assist. So it is an issue that we obviously feel that more needs to be done, and we are trying to work with the South African Police Service to foster those relationships so that we can work together.
All right, thank you so much for your time and your insight. I hope you actually get that right. Appreciate it. Chairperson of the Western Cape Standing Committee on Community Safety, Reagen Allen, speaking to us about crime in that province.